Live from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, this is Fantasy Dominance Now. Come dominate fantasy sports with us, and bringing you all the tools to dominate is Gibson Mara LLC, your certified public accountant. You can schedule an appointment by calling 215-369-3300 or come in person, 301 Oxford Valley Road, Yardley, Pennsylvania. Happy Star-Spangled Banner, everybody. Now stand the fuck up, Mr. Kaepernick. Thank you ever so much for joining us. I'm Rob Povia. Joining me is my main man and A2D Radio's resident Pittsburgh fan, Mike Kleinkoff. Matt Sensuti is bringing you all the fantasy dominance from the producer's chair. Brian Daly may be joining us later, or if not, you can catch him on the Hockey Happy Hour at 2 p.m. He ran into little automobile difficulties today. We've all been there. But more importantly, I want to dedicate today's show to Mike's great uncle who passed away this weekend. You said at the age of 83?
No. He was 71.
71.
Yeah.
Yeah, my condolences, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I read your comments yesterday about the military
Oh,
honoring
yeah,
the man.
That was awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Kaepernick should take a look at that before he makes any more idiotic comments. But we'll get to Kaepernick.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that was it was definitely an honor having the Marines there. So it was awesome.
He served?
Yeah, Vietnam.
Awesome.
So
awesome, man.
Yeah, he did his time there. So.
Well, I mean, certainly a great loss, but obviously the man served his country, served his family well, and how's the family doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all right. So.
Cool. Definitely. Well, life goes on. You know, he's graduated to the heavens now, and he's saving a spot for all of us.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely.
Very true.
You want to give his name or no?
Francis.
Cool.
Uncle Francis.
Uncle Francis. He's chilling with Uncle Bill now.
Yeah, he's chilling with Grandpa, too. We lost too many people this year. 2 was enough.
Yeah,
we're done.
Absolutely. Hey, well, on a brighter note, if you want in on the dominance, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search a2dradio.com. If you got fantasy questions, tweet us with the hashtag AskFDN. I'm at RobbieBLTZ. Robbie Blitz, as some say in the biz. Mike, you are at?
Mike_Kleinkoff.
Absolutely. And Brian is at Brian_A2D Radio. If you have questions, tweet us live on the show. We'll get to them live right on the show. Even if we're done broadcasting live and you're catching the replay, we'll hit you back. We'll answer you on Twitter. Lickety split, no shit. But speaking of the show, we have a great one in store for you today. Mr. Glass, Tony Romo, has another broken bone in his back, an L1 vertebrae. How will the Cowboys fare without him this time, and what is the future of Dak Prescott? We discuss Prescott's fantasy relevance, along with other NFL injury news, going in 9 days away, roughly, to the start of the NFL season. Woo!
Oh, my God. You don't even understand. I'm just so ready. I love baseball, but there's only so much baseball you could really watch.
Right.
I need other sports to kick in,
I hear you, man. I hear you. I mean, one hot ticket in baseball is for the New York Yankees these days, as Gary Sanchez is absolutely lighting New York on fire. We'll confirm he is a must-add at this point, and you already added him.
Oh, yeah, that was the greatest ad I did because he's done nothing but, get 10 points a game for me.
Absolutely. You're going to want to stay tuned to see who else should be added and who is on their way out of the lineup, more importantly. But first, the main topic of the day is which NFL defense will rule the gridiron in 2016, or better yet, which team defense and IDP standouts will lead you to fantasy football dominance. We asked you on the station's Twitter page at A2DRadio_com which NFL team defense is number one in fantasy football. Denver, Carolina, Cardinals, or other, for all you Seattle Legion of Boom fans out there. We purposely left them off to give some love to some other, teams that certainly are, could be drafted even ahead of the Seattle Seahawks if you're smart.
I see a couple teams on my paper right now, and I'm looking at these couple players. I'm like, they don't get enough love.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We will get to that. But starting off first, let's talk 9 days away. What team defense are you really excited to see perform? Who do you think will be the tops in the NFL, Mike?
Wow. Obviously the 3 that we mentioned on our Twitter poll question, but other teams, I can't wait to see Kansas City. Kansas City's a team defense that is very good. Obviously Seattle's another great team, but of course I want to talk a little bit about my Steelers.
I was setting you up for that, babe.
Why can't I? But they had one of the best front sevens last year. I think they were top 3 in sacks last year. You know, turnovers, not really too much, but they they drafted for the backfield with Artie Burns, Sean Davis, 2 guys, to help out the backfield a little bit. Still have Mike Mitchell and William Gay. So,
what about Lawrence Timmons?
Well, he's a beast.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The front 7 is amazing with Timmons. You got Shazier. We got Stephon Tuitt, Cameron Hayward.
I wanted Shazier in our IDP.
Shazier's, he's going to have 11 tackles a game, I could tell you that. And you still got James Harrison on the end. We got a lot of young guys. And to me, I think the Steelers' defense was very underrated last year.
To many of the Philadelphia fans in this area, but because it's always the battle of Pennsylvania. And I think this year, on the defensive side specifically, it's going to be a great battle. About the Eagles defense, knowing that I'm not a fan, but I like what they did. And then you signed Stephen Tulloch, who is Schwartz boy.
Yep.
Comes in, knows his system. Is he aging? Yes. But I still think he has the potentiality to get between 90 and 100 tackles.
Harrison's 38.
It depends on right, absolutely. It depends on if Tulloch how much playing time will he see?
Yeah.
Will he? I mean, there's Michael Kendricks there, too, playing the same position.
Yeah.
But I think it's great for keeping both of them fresh. I think the Eagles, they're going to win a lot of 17-10 games this year, or maybe be on the losing end of 17-10 games for you. Yeah. Well, for all of us, actually.
As long as they don't beat the Steelers, I'm fine.
But honestly, I think that's a team defense, and this is a good example of the difference between the real-life gridiron and fantasy football. You're not really seeing the Eagles drafted as a team defense for fantasy.
Yeah.
But, I think they arguably could be a top 10 defense in the NFL.
I mean, they definitely could be. But personally, I don't have them in my top 10. I see a couple more teams. I actually wrote down 11 teams by mistake. I miscounted, so I might throw in my honorable mention.
It's okay. I got 24, baby.
Well, that works.
Well, 12-team league. You want to have 2. Maybe you want to have 2 defenses.
That's true.
I'm not going to get into all 24.
No,
we don't have time for that.
No, not at all.
Yeah. But I mean, looking at some of the defenses that we did cover, in our Twitter poll, which you can vote right now. We'll get to the results later on in the show. Carolina's defense, obviously. One of the big ones. I mean, Denver superseded them in the Super Bowl, but Carolina's defense I'm very excited about this year. And, I mean, it's no big surprise with one Luke Kuechly.
Yeah. I mean, they lose Josh Norman this year, which is, big for the outside ball. But otherwise, I still think that they are a top 5 defense. So, I mean, obviously you want to grab them early. Their turnover ratio was plus 20 last year. So
right.
It's pretty damn good ball there. I mean, it helps, too, having one of the best offenses last year, too, moving the ball there and put the defense in bad positions.
Right. And then getting back Kelvin Benjamin, you hope that to continue.
Yeah.
And certainly supporting that defense. The only thing I can think of, you bring up a great point with Gordon being gone. That maybe they might see a little less interceptions, a little less takeaways in that secondary.
Josh Norman, we're not Josh. I know.
That's what I meant, Josh Norman.
2 popular guys in the league. But I mean, it's definitely a big loss. It is going to help out the Redskins defense, but another team where I don't see the Redskins being a top 10 defense either. But I mean, we'll see. Josh Norman's got a big test early in the year. He's got Antonio Brown, and if I'm not mistaken, week 2, I think they play the Cowboys.
Say again?
The Cowboys in week 2. I know they play a division team. I don't know if it's Dez Bryant or he has Odell Beckham in week 2. If I'm not mistaken.
I don't really care about the Cowboys schedule right now, to tell you the truth. Yes, week 2 against the Redskins.
Okay.
Yep. So
that'll
be a nice battle.
So he gets to play Dez twice. He gets to play Odell Beckham twice. I want to see what he does. And if he plays the whole Steelers division, he's going to go up against A.J. Green, Steve Smith Sr., and then Josh Gordon, depending on what week they play the Browns.
Right. And now, I brought up Luke Kuechly's name, another linebacker on that squad, Thomas Davis, outstanding, fast, good sideline-to-sideline speed.
Yeah.
Both of those gentlemen do. And I think that's an example of how Carolina will rise to the cream of the crop on the NFL gridiron.
Yeah.
But when you're talking like independent defensive player leagues, Thomas Davis, Luke Kuechly, two huge names that you
Yeah.
can draft.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you got to get those early in IDP leagues. I was looking at that early. I mean, the league that I'm doing with Frank was the first IDP league I actually did, and it was like, you start seeing defensive players drafted in like the 5th pick, and you're like, what?
Right.
They got guys like J.J. Watt, Luke Kuechly's another guy.
Yeah, I have him as my number 1 linebacker to draft in IDP leagues.
Yeah.
Kuechly, absolutely.
Yeah. Another guy I know, like I said, my one friend's a diehard Raiders fan, and Ben Heaney. He's another guy, linebacker. He's solid.
Yeah, man.
He's a solid guy. Oakland's defense is a defense you got to look out for this year too. So
Very, very sneaky. I had them as a sleeper defensive pick. I actually had them ranked 11 overall, just outside the top 10.
Yeah, I'm biting a little bit higher with them, just because of their acquisitions. I mean, Khalil Mack, you can't fight that, man. So we'll get into our top 10, but
yeah. Oh no, absolutely.
I don't want to give out anything, but
both Oakland and the Vikings in my live fantasy football draft on Sunday went ahead of some of these big names. They went ahead of the Cardinals. No, not the Cardinals. They went ahead of the Bengals. They went ahead of what was the other team? I was surprised that they went before. The Chiefs.
Yeah.
And I was like surprised. I was like, I'm high on the Vikings and I'm high on the Raiders. I'm even high on the Jaguars as well, with all their draft picks on the defensive side.
Yeah.
But to pick them ahead of the Chiefs or the
I
Bengals, I don't know.
I saw that too, and we were talking about our draft too. I think the Bucs defense was drafted before.
Right.
I drafted Denver.
Right.
And that was, I think, the 5th defense or something we were talking about on the phone the other day. It was the 4th or 5th defense, and I drafted Denver there. And other teams, like you said, the Vikings and I think the Buccaneers defense were drafted before Denver.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, are you nuts?
Well, sometimes it's a personal preference.
Yeah.
And also when it comes to, and I mean, we're speaking purely on the NFL gridiron, but, kind of teasing towards our second segment where we'll give you our top 10 defensive / special teams.
Yeah.
That factors into it too. Maybe you're really high on potential return men on that Tampa Bay Buccaneers team.
Yeah, that's true.
That's going to play into that factor. Also, are they higher? They may not be the greatest defense out there, but they do cause a lot of turnovers, which is fantasy points. Other examples, but that's certainly the top of the one off my head.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see what other people think too, but I don't know. What defense did you pick in our league?
In our league, I went with the Cardinals.
Cardinals?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm really high on the Cardinals defense. I mean, they re-signed Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah.
Peterson. I mean, it's a great defense. They're good all around. And what impresses me a lot, based on their stats this year or last year, and I expect that to continue this year, is low yards allowed, low points allowed.
Yeah.
Those are the little hidden fantasy points that really help bolster that team defense, getting that team defense into the double digits on a weekly basis. But I'm very high on the Cardinals, as we'll see when we give our top 10. But
Steelers offense blew them up last year.
little bit.
But I mean, obviously Patrick Peterson, the Honey Badger himself, and then they got Chandler Jones this year too, off of the Patriots. So that was a nice edge rusher there for them. So it's only going to boost them a little bit. I mean, at 36 sacks last year. So, I mean, having Chandler Jones might upgrade that number a little bit.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about it. Now, we haven't really talked about Denver's defense, which certainly could be number 1 in the NFL easily this year. And it's probably going to need to be if the Denver Broncos want to do well this season. Something you brought up during the draft when we were drafting Sunday night. Maybe we'll look into the results a little bit later on the show. See, make some critical remarks or what have you. Von Miller doesn't get selected as a linebacker, and that's surprised. I mean, as you see, we used Von Miller as our thumbnail, Super Bowl MVP on a defensive player, certainly well deserved. Why didn't he get drafted? I don't get it.
I think because he doesn't make a lot of tackles.
Right.
Because he's mostly rushing the edge. I think that's the main reason. He's only going to get you sack points.
Right.
He's going to get you with the forced fumbles too, but that's really it. I mean, I think he had like 50 tackles last year.
Right.
And that's It's not what you want.
No, exactly.
You want more than that.
And I this was a loaded question because and you hit the answer right on the mark. Good job, Michael. It's an example of how a player can be great on the gridiron and not really a fantasy commodity. As we make this differentiation, this show and past shows, we want to talk about what's good in the NFL and then make the differentiation to what's good on your fantasy football or baseball team for that matter.
You're better taking him as just a Denver as a team defense with him.
Right.
Instead of picking him individually for an IDP league.
Right.
And it's sad saying that, a guy that's going to potentially have 15 sacks this year isn't even on somebody's team.
Right. I mean, maybe in other leagues where sacks are a little bit more valued. I've been in leagues where sacks were worth 5 points.
Yeah.
Then Von Miller is a commodity.
Actually, in the league with Frank, I'm like, the first person for defense I looked up was Von Miller, and I drafted him, and I'm sitting there like, he's not even projected a lot this year.
Right.
And it's because he's that edge rusher, and really his only potential is to get you a couple sacks. Obviously, he's going to get you 5-6 tackles a game, but you need more than that.
No, absolutely. Just running down really quickly since I'm on the screen right now. I'm going to give you everyone out there a quick top 10 in linebackers. We mentioned Luke Kuechly, Levante David for the Buccaneers, Navarro Bowman, your property. We'll get into that later. C.J. Mosley, Bobby Wagner, Paul Pelesny.
The dude from Jacksonville, right?
Thank you. Deion Buchanan, Paul Worrell, DeQuell Jackson, and Derek Johnson on the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, for defensive backs, we could look at Rashad Jones. Had a fabulous fantasy football season last year. He's going to top out at number 1. Harrison Smith, 2. Barry Church, 3. Morgan Burnett, 4. T.J. McDonald, 5. The aforementioned Tyrone Matthew, 6. Michael Griffin, 7th. Landon Collins, who had a great freshman campaign, looking to continue that in his sophomore season for the New York Giants, at 8. Kirk Coleman, 9. And Clinton Dix at 10. These are all from NFL.com, according to their quote-unquote fantasy experts. Do any of those strike you? Do any of those kind of incorporate a team defense that we haven't spoken of that maybe should be spoken of?
I'm not sure. Can you run those names one more time for me?
Oh, absolutely. You want the defensive backs or the linebackers?
Do defensive backs because I'm looking at my paper here.
Sure. We got Rashad Jones, Miami Dolphins. That could be a sneaky team defense this year, and honestly going to need to be good for the Dolphins for them to do anything.
Their offense sucks.
Absolutely. And, as you said, Harrison Smith, Barry Church. Certainly the Cowboys defense is going to need to be strong, minus Tony Romo. We'll get to that later in the show. Maybe. That's a big maybe.
Yeah.
Morgan Burnett, T.J. McDonald are the top 5. Tyrann Mathieu, who I would personally have in the top 5, maybe over a McDonald or Morgan Burnett. But I'm not going to hate him at 6. I love Landon Collins.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, no, I really do. But the thing is, like, the Giants' defense sucked.
Oh, they absolutely sucked.
They were brutal last year, but
and that's going to continue this year.
A team that I've always liked to draft was Los Angeles' defense. But I don't know. This year I didn't go with them. Usually I always do.
Yeah.
I always go with them. I always have, them in Detroit, but Detroit's fallen off.
Yeah.
The Rams have fallen off.
Rams have fallen off. The Bills have fallen off as well in terms of the draft. And that was a little bit of a head scratcher for me because you still have Rex Ryan, a defensive-minded head coach. Yeah. Did they really lose anybody this offseason for them to drop so much?
Not that I could not that anything rings in my head, but it is weird when when you have a defensively minded coach that their offense is probably the better part of the team.
Right.
So.
All right. So bottom line, let me ask you, and we'll get into the fantasy aspect on the other side. But in the NFL currently, who's the best defense? Who's got the best defense?
Currently, judge me. I really like Kansas City.
Yeah.
I really do. There's a lot of good pieces. I mean, Kansas City, and then I would say followed by Denver.
Yeah. Kansas City, Denver. I like that. I definitely like that. For me, on the NFL gridiron, I'm going to still go with Seattle. I am still going to go with Seattle, and we'll get into the fantasy aspects afterwards.
Yeah.
But I still like the Legion of Boom. It's still going to carry its weight in gold. After that, definitely Denver.
Yeah.
Definitely Denver. And, I was really tempted to do Denver and then Seattle, but I don't know. But you know who ranks the best out of all these team defenses? BMW of Atlantic City. They challenge its sales team. They must sell 100 vehicles, which means you save. Right now, lease a certified pre-owned elite 2016 BMW 320i with xDrive, just $299 a month for 36 months. The ultimate driving experience is closer than you think. BMW of Atlantic City, easy to get to, minutes off of exit 37 on the Garden State Parkway, or check them out online, bmwatlanticcity.com. On the other side, top 10 defenses, and we'll talk a little fantasy football mock drafts. You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now here on a2dradio.com.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by The Sports Outlet, located at 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. With over 40 years of customer experience giving the latest in uniforms and equipment to sports enthusiasts of baseball, softball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, and much more. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or send them an email at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit their website at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all of your sporting needs.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com. Hey, do you consider yourself the next Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, or Jordan Spieth? Well, head on out on November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey for A2DRadio.com's first ever Real Talk Invitational. $125 per person to enter, teams up to 4 members, and it includes all you can eat and drink and contests including longest drive, putting competition, closest to the pin, and the hole-in-one contest. Once again, it's November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey. The guys here at A2DRadio.com hope to see you there.
You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now, only on A2DRadio.com.
welcome back, Fantasy Freaks, to Fantasy Dominance Now here on A2DRadio.com. We got Mikey Kleinkoff in the house, Matt Sensudio on the ones and twos, and yours truly, Rob Provia, bringing you all the dominance. And if you want in on it, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search A2DRadio.com. If you got specific fantasy questions, tweet us with the hashtag AskFDN. So we were talking when we left off, top NFL defenses in the gridiron. NFL season 9 days away. We're giddy. We're excited. I know Mike was chomping at the bit to talk football here on the show.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And he made it happen.
I'm happy.
Absolutely.
It's been a long time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we asked you on our Twitter page at A2DRadio_com, which NFL team defense is number one in fantasy football? Is it the Denver Broncos, the Carolina Panthers, the Arizona Cardinals, or other? Some of you might be like, how the hell do you leave Seattle off the list? Well, that's why I put them tops on my NFL on the gridiron, but I think these other three teams can outscore them in fantasy.
Yeah, for sure. So how do you want to start this? Do you want to?
You know what? Let's. We're gonna give a top 10 of our fantasy defenses. So let's start off with number 10. Go for it, brother.
This is where I put Oakland. I put Oakland here. I mean, Khalil Mack, Bruce Irvin, Malcolm Smith, Reggie Nelson. They drafted Carl Joseph, DJ Hayden, and like I said before, Ben Heaney. I mean, one of the better young defenses. Obviously, they lose Woodson to retirement, but 38 sacks last year. They were only a +1 ratio, but other than that, I mean, Khalil Mack might be one of the best edge rushers in the league.
Yeah.
Maybe behind Von Miller, but that's really it.
Right.
So, I mean, Oakland's a team that's this year is very underrated. They do play in a tougher division, but I do believe that Oakland has a chance of going 500, if not better, this year, and it's because of that. The defense is actually going to step up.
Right, and that's the reason why I draft Khalil Mack in Doug's IDP league, because Mack became the first player ever voted to the All-Pro first team at two positions, defensive end and linebacker last year. And I really feel that he's Watt's lone peer in terms of elite defensive lineman coming into this season. So definitely a hot commodity in a position that's maybe not often rewarded in fantasy points, but that is the utmost reason to get one of the top guys in the league.
Yeah.
And J.J. Watt is battling some injuries coming back from it. Might hamper the start of his season. So Khalil Mack could take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Will he supersede him in an IDP league? I don't know about that yet.
I don't know. We'll see. Hey, you never know. J.J. Watt is he has one of the best hands for a defensive lineman, I could tell you that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Slotting in a tight end on a lot of red zone plays.
You might as well. The dude's 6'5".
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Who's going to stop him? I'm not going to stop him.
I know I can't.
Two of us smaller in stature. More of the Wes Welker types.
Yeah, little white guys.
Yeah, little white guys. Yeah, I had Oakland at 11. Honorable mention outside of my top 10. I think they will be up there. At number 10, I'm going to put the New York Jets. I really like what they're doing. Coach Bowles has them running wild, and then you got Muhammad Wilkerson back. So that's going to be a good going to be a good defense for you in Fantasyland, people. You heard it here first.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you still have Revis Island.
Yep.
Can't forget him.
Oh yeah.
So the Raiders still on them. The Jets I have them in the 8th position. But you have them at 8. Nice. Okay. I don't think you're going to go wrong with having a Jets defense this year. So, I mean, I don't know. To me, they're definitely an overall better team this year.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Let's not forget inside linebacker David Harris too.
Yeah.
Definitely one of the captains on that defense. But maybe I thought this was going to be like a revolutionary pick with Jets at 10, but you got them at 8. Maybe I'm bringing old news here.
I don't know. I mean, they also got Steve McClendon. A guy is Steelers player. He's good inside in the middle there. So
nose tackle. Yep.
Yeah, it's good for them. So
absolutely. I think the one question will be, on the other side of Revis Island, they have slotted in starting cornerback Buster Skrine, who I'm very unfamiliar with. 27-year-old, 5'9", 185-pound defensive end. Last year, he had a combined 56 tackles, 1 interception on the year. Will he be strong enough when they're throwing away from Darrelle Revis?
That's tough because he's little.
Yeah.
That's a little guy, 5'9", 185.
Yeah.
I could tell you a guy like Des Bryant, if he were to go up against him, it's Burn City.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. So who do you got at number? We covered that you have the Jets at 8, but who do you have at 9? Bro?
9. This is where I put my boys. This is where I put the Steelers.
Okay.
A lot of teams. I mean, obviously, you know, I'm more of a homer, but a lot of people aren't high on them. You know, their turnover ratio isn't the thing, but last year they only allowed 91.2 yards rushing per game, which is, you know, one of the best. I think they were top 5 for rushing defense.
Right.
They had 3 defensive touchdowns or special team touchdowns. They only allowed 319 points last year, which were one of the lowest as well. And, I mean, they still had 30 turnovers, but 48 sacks last year. And they ranked in the top 3 for sacks. So, I mean, it's something you got to look at. The Steelers drafted, like I said earlier in the show, for the defensive back positions. And, obviously, the offense is not going to put them in a bad position.
Right.
So, to me, I think the Steelers' defense overall is going to be better. I know I was looking at the league, their points, they're saying they're going to allow almost 100 more points than they did last year. But to me, I think they got better pieces to help with the mistakes that they made last year.
And I'm going by that information, having them ranked at number 16 on my top 24.
Yeah. You
have them higher. And as a fan, maybe you have some insider knowledge to where they'll be better than projected.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, they Artie Burns, Sean Davis, 2 guys that are defensive backs, you know, and we still have Mike Mitchell, which he's not the greatest, but William Gay's pretty good.
Right.
So you got 2 veterans in the backfield helping those guys out. And overall, I really do believe, I mean, the front 7 is just phenomenal.
Right.
You know, so I don't know. We'll see. I mean, only time will tell. But I am pretty high on my defense this year.
He's the phenomenal one?
Yeah, William Gay, right?
Oh, I thought that was in wrestling. All right, cool. Little shout out to Matt Sensudi on the 1s and 2s. Kind of interesting. At number 9, I'm going to throw the New England Patriots here. They're always unheralded, but they got great special teams, and that's a big factor when you're drafting a team defense. And when we look at that team defense, this is a guy that I drafted as an independent linebacker and certainly will help that team defense. Jamie Collins is a stud.
Yeah, he is.
Absolute stud. 5 forced fumbles last year, 1 interception, 89 combined tackles. I expect those tackles to go up as he sees more playing time this year. I really like what the Patriots are doing on the defensive side of the ball. And a lot of people may have them ranked lower than where I have them. And this is a scenario where if you want to draft, if you haven't drafted yet, other positional players and wait on your team defense, you can grab the Patriots potentially as your number 1 defense and still be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but like I said earlier, they lose Chandler Jones.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how long Nikovic, whatever his name is.
Yep. Yeah, Rob Nikovic.
I know he's out, but I'm not sure how extended his injury is.
I will look that up for you
right now. That is one thing I forgot to look up because I don't have them in my top 10.
Right.
Just because of that. But they're a very weird team. The Patriots are a very weird defensive team. You know, they go under the radar. Right. And, you know, it's just to me they are a team that are a sleeper.
Right.
But I think losing Jones is not going to benefit them and Nikovic too.
Right. And in case you don't know out there, Nikovic tore his tricep on August 9th. Yeah. He was present at the start of Sunday's practice. That was August the 14th, before moving on the Patriots' lower field to do some conditioning work. The Boston Herald reports suggest that Nikovic's return would be a matter of weeks, not months. While it's unclear when the defensive end might be able to fully practice, his presence on the field Sunday in any capacity is a positive sign. Yeah. So maybe you might be minus him the first couple weeks of the season. I think the Patriots can make do as a defense, but certainly when they get that'll be a shot in the arm.
Yeah. Well, yeah, see, they lose him for the first couple weeks. They're losing Brady for the first couple of weeks, too. So, I mean, is Garoppolo going to put that defense in a good position?
Right.
You know, you really don't know from him, and really he hasn't shined too much, I guess you could say, in preseason. I mean, even Brady didn't even look that good when he came in. He threw the ball right at Luke Kuechly. Luckily, Kuechly didn't catch it. You know?
Right into his hands.
Yeah, you never see that from Tom Brady. So, you never know.
You never know. So at number 8, you said you had the not quite yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that they could shed that name this year. I have them as especially with Brady being out the first 4 games, the Jets could surprise people and take the AFC East.
They could go 11-5 this year.
Yeah,
I could see that.
very distinctly possible. Number 8 on my list, Minnesota Vikings.
Okay.
It's another team that's been a little unheralded on most experts, quote-unquote, top 10 lists, but I think they have to be there. Their defense is sick, man. I love what they're doing, both on the front 7 as well as in the backfield. I mean, not a lot of heralded guys, but, you got, let's see here, you got Everson Griffin, potentially had 10.5 sacks last year. Certainly a great pass rusher. I always look at the middle linebacker when I'm judging a team defense. Eric Kendricks had 92 combined tackles last season. And then going to the secondary, my old friend Terrence Newman still can cover very well in this league at the age of 37.
Solid. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's solid. I always remembered him with the Cowboys.
Right. And then their strong safety is also impressive to me too, Michael Griffin. Had 101 combined tackles last year. Only 1 pick, but, man, he's strong coming in when they got to, put a couple more people in the box, stopping the opposing running back. The Vikings can really surprise a lot of people, and, you may have some good special teams effects on that team day.
Oh, yeah.
Who you got number 7?
Number 7, this is actually where I put my my worst enemy, and that's Cincinnati.
Yeah, I got them right at 7 as well.
Yeah, when I look at the players on this defense, I'm just amazed on how they can't win a playoff game. I mean, Carlos Dunlap, Geno Atkins, Ray Malu, I put perfect. I just wrote idiot, but that's what it translates to. I also wrote that for Adam Jones as well. But they did draft William Jackson III, and but I know he's hurt. I don't know his extent to his injury. I don't even know if he's going to play this year. But other than that, I mean, 42 sacks for him last season. Their turnover ratio was plus 11. They're, I hate playing Cincinnati, and I hate them more because of Vontaze Burfict and Adam Jones. There's nothing worse than those 2 fools on the field. But other than that, I mean, the Bengals defense is just so solid, and I don't know how this team can't win. I know it's because of Andy Dalton. He's just,
Right.
It's the offense. But, that defense last year, the Steelers should have not won that playoff game, and it's because of those 2, as I would call idiots. If it wasn't for those 2, they would have won the game.
Yeah, it's true. It is true. I mean, the Bengals defense finished the 2015 season ranked 2nd in points allowed, 17.4, 6th in takeaways, 28, and tied for 9th in sacks with 42. Certainly a little middle of the pack except the points allowed. So they're not flashy, but they're effective from start to finish. And I think and if you want consistency in a team defense, especially if you don't believe in having a second team defense to back them up for matchups or bye weeks, I don't think you can go wrong with Cincinnati, especially with a Week 9 bye.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, Cincinnati's a team I don't like ever playing. They are dirty guys, so you got to watch out for them.
So we both have them at 7. Who do you got at number 6?
Number 6 is where I put Houston.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to not put Houston in your top 10. I don't think – I mean, the names you might say are top 5, but to me, I see 5 other teams better than that. But, I mean, you can't go wrong. J.J. Watt. Brian Cushing led the team last year with 110 tackles. You still have Jadeveon Clowney, who – you don't know what you're going to get out of him. He was better with South Carolina than he is with
Just can't
with
stay
them.
healthy.
Yeah, that's his thing. If he's healthy, he's going to be a beast. But you still have Vince Wilfork.
Right.
And
as we alluded to in the first segment, J.J. Watt's back may be an issue. to start off the season, but he's going to be solid, and it doesn't seem like it's going to keep him out for too long. I think they're just being really precautionary.
Yeah, they said he can miss week 1 or week 2 at the most. So.
Right. I mean, I have Houston at number 4.
Okay.
So I'm definitely right with you on that. Number 6, I got the Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
That's where I slot them in. We talked about them a lot in the beginning of the season. I think Norman will be a loss in terms of fantasy point value. I'm not particularly high on their special teams in comparison to my top 5.
Yeah.
So that's why, even though they could be arguably one of the top 3 defenses in the NFL, but not in fantasy.
Yeah.
And we'll get to the poll results to see what the people think later on in the show.
The thing is, too, I didn't think about this, was the special teams points are probably going to be so relevant this year because of the new touchback rule. I mean, you're better off not even running because you're going to start at the 25-yard line now instead of the 20.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, when a guy is kick returning, they don't even make it to the 20.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. I mean, if anything, you're going to get punt return, so you got to look at a punt returner. But to me, this year, whoever's kick returning isn't going to. You're just there to catch a ball.
Absolutely. Who you got number 5?
Number 5 is the Cardinals.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, this is where I decided to put the Cardinals here for all the right reasons. I mean, like I said, they got Chandler Jones this year, Patrick Peterson. Their backfield is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
And it's better than their defensive front 7.
Right.
But in 36 sacks last year, not the greatest of numbers, but like I said, Patrick Peterson's one of the greatest returners too. I mean,
Chandler Jones could help that. I think he will help that. There's no could about it.
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure the main returner is Patrick Peterson.
Right.
But Matthew can do it as well.
Oh yeah,
so,
absolutely. I mean, I'm pretty high on the Cardinals. I have them at number 3.
Okay.
For all those reasons. I'm a little higher on him than you are, but I mean we're in the same ballpark. You have him at 5, I have him at 3. At number 5 is where I have the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
The Queefs, as some people, Doug Fresh used to call them. Which we may be getting him a little airtime here, calling in the near future.
Ooh,
yeah. We definitely missed the Fresh Maker here at Fantasy Dominance. Now one of the original creators of the show. A little shout out to Mr. Fresh. Number 4, I'm going to move right on. I have Houston. That's where I said that before. And number 3, I have Arizona. Who is your 4 and 3?
My 4 and 3, I have Carolina at number 4.
Mm-hmm.
And number 3 is where I have Kansas City.
Okay.
To me, Kansas City is overall, to me, has the best looking defense to me out there. And to me, they're so underrated. Their front 7 is just insane. Like I said, Poe, Justice Houston, Tamba Hali. Then they have Marcus Peters, Eric Berry, Derek Johnson. Led the team in tackles last year, 116 tackles. 47 sacks last year. Actually, isn't it crazy? Steelers actually had 48.
Yeah.
They had more than them.
Yeah, they did.
But see, that's what I mean by going underrated with the Steelers defense.
Yeah, I feel you, man.
But and especially when you hear those guys' names compared to the Steelers' names.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Kansas City, I'm a little bit higher on this year. Sack department is that's where they're going to get all their points.
Right.
So
absolutely. Going into the top 2, we're down to it right now. For me, it was a choice between Denver and Seattle.
Yeah.
And it's funny how the way I went is a little against what our Twitter poll indicated, but with reason, with purpose. Number 2, I got Denver, and number 1, I still got Seattle.
All right. Yeah, it's I just switched it, and I'm looking at it. I switched it, but you know what? I'm going to argue for my case for Denver being the number 1 defense for fans because, Marcus Ware, Brandon Marshall, they still have Von Miller. Obviously, he's going to be one of the best edge rushers. They had 52 sacks last year, and you still have Aqib Talib in the backfield with T.J. Ward and Chris Harris. So, I mean, all big-name guys. To me, I mean, it's very hard to argue because I think the Seahawks front 7 is better.
Right, and that's why I got him. Yep.
I still believe I just believe that Denver's backfield is just slightly better. I mean, obviously Richard Sherman is one of the greatest, and you still have Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor too.
Right.
But I don't know. Just I like.
Maybe Jeremy Lane is the question mark
Yeah.
there. He's at 6 foot, 190, the smaller type corner. But, yeah, you hit the nail right on that. The front seven is really second to none. Averill, Bennett, KJ Wright, Wagner.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still a lot of studs out in Seattle and Legion of Boom. And I know one fan of FDN out there is definitely digging me with picking Seattle. Maybe I was influenced. Maybe I was bought off a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah. But no, I mean, to me, you can't go wrong with any of the two teams. It's just trying to throw in an argue point with Denver. I mean, obviously, their ratio, because their offense sucked last year.
Right.
And, that's where I see where Seattle could be number one, because Denver's offense, we don't know what we're going to get with Simeon and starting quarterback. So their ratio was -4,
Right.
surprisingly. So the defense, to me, was put in a bad position because their offense wasn't the greatest. But
Absolutely.
we'll see. We'll see if things change this year.
Absolutely. And bringing you our top 10 team defenses is Liberty Event Rentals. For all your party needs, tents, tables, chairs, they have it all, and they deliver. So even if you're out of the area, they'll come to you. They'll help you set up a nice party for that special occasion. Give them a call, 267-314-7368, or look them up online, libertyeventrentals.com. Supporting all of A2DRadio.com as a station sponsor is the BMW of Atlantic City dealership, and this month they challenged its sales team. They must sell 100 vehicles, which means you save. Right now, lease a certified pre-owned elite 2016 BMW 320i with xDrive, just $299 a month for 36 months. The ultimate driving experience is closer than you think. BMW of Atlantic City, easy to get to, minutes off of exit 37 on the Garden State Parkway, or check them out online, BMWAtlanticCity.com. This is Fantasy Dominance Now.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by The Sports Outlet, located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey, with over 40 years of customer experience giving the latest in uniforms and equipment to sports enthusiasts of baseball, softball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, and much more. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or send them an email at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit their website at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all of your sporting needs.
You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now, only on A2DRadio.com.
Welcome back, fantasy players. The Fantasy Dominance Now here on A2DRadio.com. Mike Kleinkoff, Matt Cinsudi on the ones and twos, and yours truly, Rob Hovia, steering the ship. Brian Daly still having automobile difficulties, probably will not be on the show today, so you'll have to catch Brian Stylings next week. We definitely wish you well, Brian, and hopefully we will see you 2 o'clock for the hockey happy hour. Little tongue-tied there, saying too much. But what I'm not tongue-tied about is about sharing the dominance, especially with if you've already drafted your team. Well, now it's all about formulating that team for week one. So a lot of this advice can be used if you have a late draft, maybe a Labor Day weekend draft, or if you already have your team together and there's somebody that you missed out on that's on the free agent wire as an IDP, as a team defense. You're going to want to go back to the beginning of the show and check all that out. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search a2dradio.com. Most importantly, if you got fantasy questions, tweet at us with the hashtag AskFDN. We'll get to them live right on the show, or we'll hit you up on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, wherever it may be.
Wherever.
Absolutely. We're truly everywhere here at a2dradio.com. Who is not going to be everywhere on the football field for the first 10 weeks minimum is Mr. Tony Romo.
Yeah.
Again.
He
reminds me of Mr. Glass from it was Unbreakable, right? It was the M. Night Shyamalan movie. You know that, Maddie? Bruce Willis. That was Unbreakable, right? No, definitely not Hero. Let me see. I'm
not good with that kind of trivia.
I can't believe. Yeah, and I'm messing up movie trivia. Yeah, I was right. Why do I doubt myself? I am a walking IMDb, and I'm doubting myself. Absolutely Unbreakable. Samuel Jackson playing the role of Mr. Glass in there. It was just, I love that movie. Definitely need a new M. Night Shyamalan movie for sure. But man, it seems like Romo's life has been a movie. And what's sad about it, and much happy to a lot of Philadelphia Eagles fans this year, is that I don't think this guy's ever going to get a chance to redeem himself and come through in that big game. His body's just giving it out, and it may be time to call it a career.
Sadly, it is. But the guy, it's hard to say, because if he comes back, he's gonna come back, and I bet you he'll be old Tony Romo, where he's going to be a phenomenal player.
Yeah.
But no, it's sad to say it's just injuries for the past couple of years have taken his toll, and he hasn't even finished a full season in a while. So it's definitely hard to say. I mean, you're more of a Dallas fan. I don't know if you're just ready for the future now, or do you want him to come back and keep trying for the next couple of years, or do you believe that maybe Dak Prescott is the answer?
I absolutely believe Dak Prescott is the answer. I mean, I know you can't get too hyped on preseason numbers, but I go back to his college days, and a lot of people could argue that he's got a better skill set than the number one draft pick in Jared Goff. Not Carson Wentz, though. I still value Wentz above them, too. Okay. But I think Dak Prescott would have served the LA Rams better than Goff, and luckily for the Cowboys, they got him.
Yeah.
He's definitely a great athletic specimen. Certainly maybe keep him off the injured shelf that Tony Romo likes to reside on. And unlike last year, where Tony Romo, when he was gone, the Cowboys were done, this may actually be a blessing in disguise for the Cowboys, because A, he can't stay healthy. B, let's face facts. Great, phenomenal regular season numbers. One of the best ever, right? But when it counted, when it counts, the man throws interceptions like nobody's business. This is not a newfound statement. And you need a big game guy. You could say all you want about Eli Manning, but he shows up in the big games. and he's got 2 rings to show for it. So I think the Cowboys will be better off this season
without him.
Okay. I mean, that's tough to say because, I mean, you don't know what Dak Prescott's going to do during the regular season, as full team defenses are on the field the full 60 minutes. It's a faster game than the college gridiron. I mean, obviously other players on the Cowboys fantasy hit takes a definite hit with Romo being off the shelf, but not as much as last year is my ultimate point.
Yeah, for sure. To me, I kind of see Dak Prescott as a bigger and probably a better RG3. The guy's he's very mobile. He's another running quarterback, but the guy's he's got a cannon.
Right.
He could sling that ball down the field, and he's definitely something special, and like you said, a blessing in disguise possibly. I mean, like we said, we're only about a week and a half away from game 1, so.
Right. And I mean, he's Prescott has completed 39 of 50 passes during the preseason for 454 yards, 5 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, and most importantly, no turnovers.
Yeah.
Takes care of the ball. Now I get this is preseason. I'm not getting too excited, but this does show a good pedigree that he has, and so much so that in my NFL.com keeper league, I drafted him in my second to last pick because I'll be able to keep him potentially 2 years.
Yeah.
It may not be fully his year this year, but next year I think is definitely the new era. As WWE has a new era, so does the Dallas Cowboys, and that's what I really drafted him for. So if you're out there in a keeper league, Dak Prescott, a very sneaky.
Yeah. But say Prescott does show off to be, this next coming quarterback, does Tony Romo retire, or do you think he goes on and plays for another team? You
know what? I really feel that the Cowboys are going to give Romo every shot to be their starter. And if he comes back, this year, which he more than likely will, after week 10, it's a tough question. Going into next season, that might be more of a question mark, but I think as long as Romo is healthy enough to play, they're going to stick with him and allow Prescott to, mature in the NFL. But, if Prescott really shows up strong, in their first, in their games up to week 10, it might prompt them to want to move Romo. Yeah. And Romo, he'll want to. He's got a good competitive spirit, albeit he doesn't show up in the big games. He does have a good competitive spirit, and I can see him trying to hang on in the league. And unfortunately, it's going to be a further reputation tarnishment than it already is.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, say like the Cowboys are 7-3 with Prescott. Romo's ready to return. Do you think it'd be like a Peyton Manning and Brock Osweiler kind of thing where? You have Peyton Manning. Oh, he's back. Goodbye, Brock.
Right.
Manning's going to play the Super Bowl when really Brock Osweiler kind of led them there.
Right.
I mean, and Manning didn't show up in the Super Bowl. He had like under 200 yards passing, so it was all the defense. But to me, it is that question mark, and like you said, I do think, even if the Cowboys are riding high with Prescott, I do think Romo will come back and take over that position. But I say if he messes up the first 2 games that he's back, they might let Prescott play the rest of the season.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All this fun talk is being brought to you by the Sports Outlet. For all your sporting needs, go visit them, 703 Black Horse Pike, Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call, 856-939-2030, or look them up online, sportsoutletinc.com. So, did you have any parting shots for the Steelers before we move on to a little fantasy baseball news?
No, but I was kind of surprised that Jesse James actually was not even available to draft in our league.
No kidding.
Yeah, I went to go look him up as a possible sleeper, late round, just in case I didn't get a chance to draft Barnage or something. I was, Ben loves his tight ends. And
yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Rape his burger.
Yeah, come on. I
haven't done it since you've been on the show. Come on, man.
As soon as I said, I knew it was going to be something about that. But
no, he's available.
Is he now?
Yeah.
Because I was looking up James before, and the only one that I came up was what the hell is his name? I forget. But he wasn't even there.
Yo, you mean in the full 30 seconds that we had between picks?
Yeah, which was disgustingly horrible.
Oh, my goodness, man. That was like wham, bam, thank you, officer, that draft. It was done in like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I felt like some chick just shoved me into a dressing room, effed my brains out, and then left, and I'm like, what happened?
Yeah.
Oh, but I feel good now. I got a good team.
But that's a thing, though. Like, that's why decision-making was so tough this year.
Right.
And I'm, like, sitting there. I'm like, oh, God, 10 seconds, 1.
Yeah.
you know?
Well, that might be why. I mean, he probably was ranked way, way down unless you moved him up.
Yeah, because I know my girlfriend's brother did a draft board, too, and they had to pencil in Jesse James' name because his name wasn't even there. You know, and another
guy. But he played last year, though.
He played last year, yeah, but for some reason, he wasn't even on there. I swear to God, because I was looking him up for the game, for my team. Another guy, too, more Steelers talk, Eli Rogers. Watch out for him, too, because he might actually take Sammy Coates' spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a guy that I know in like a 20-person IDP league that I'm doing with Frank. He was one of those guys that are top trending. I think he's going to make the Steelers roster. He's phenomenal.
Great hot tip, man. Insider information here you get on a2dradio.com. You know, we have an eclectic fan base here working at the station. Going back to the tight end position, Ladarius Green. Realistically, when do you see him hitting the football field?
I would say no later than week 4.
Okay.
I do think he is going to play this year, and he said he is on the PUP list because of his ankle. He's not on there because of his concussions. So I know you're a fantasy owner, and I'm a Steelers fan, so I can't wait. Listen, Jesse James is okay. You know, Ben likes, like I said, loves the tight ends, but to me, Ladarius Green is overall just way better, and I think Jesse James could learn off of that.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Now, in the fantasy world, like you did mention, I did keep Ladarius Green because I could keep him at a ridiculous position. Excuse me. So it just made sense for me to keep him no matter when he came back because I knew he would come back. And there's talk that he's not ruled out for week 1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But maybe if they're smart and really treasuring the value that is Ladarius Green, you'd be patient with maybe week 4, as you indicated. In the meantime, I wound up drafting later in the draft Clive Walford from the Oakland Raiders. Okay. He's currently listed as their number 2 tight end, but their number 1 is more of a blocking tight end. Not going to really see a lot of passes, so I think Walford is the tight end to own in Oakland. So if you're like me, where your tight end that you drafted is a little banged up, or you're just looking for a solid depth chart for the bye week, Walford could be a good pick.
Oh yeah, no, I'm happy. I have probably the 2 best tight ends on my team. So if anybody's looking for some deals, I need a running back.
All right, well, we're going to shift off while we still have a few minutes left in this segment. Well, a little more than a few minutes, but we want to, fantasy baseball is rip-roaring.
Still there.
We're going into the last week or two, heading into the into the playoff round. So we do want to give a little fantasy baseball report, and this is brought to you by a place where you can really improve your baseball skills. The Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Give them a call, 856-889-3434, or look them up online, scanzanosports.com. There's no maybe about it. You will improve your baseball skills. Come get your game in shape. So, talking about guys to pick up, you picked up one, Mr. Gary Sanchez from the New York Yankees. And if he is available in your league out there, he would be a great asset, especially if you're on the cusp of the playoffs or for your fantasy baseball playoffs.
I didn't even hesitate to drop Cervelli for Gary Sanchez because he's already got more points than Cervelli does on the whole season, and he's played in 21 games or however many games.
Yeah. He has played in 23 games.
23.
25 in his career, 23 this season, and 398 average, 11 homers, 21 RBIs, and 465 on-base percentage. Yeah, that's not too bad.
He's got a stolen base, too. He's a big guy. Catchers don't steal bases.
Yeah, right? No kidding, man. Got a little Latino speed there. But Gary Sanchez, man, it's bringing the word Sanchez back to New York.
Oh, Jesus. No, but 84.5% owned. He's gone up 26.3% in the last week. So grab him while you can. Exactly what you said, and he's going to be great for the playoff race if you're right at the edge there.
Absolutely. And a couple quick notable facts about Sanchez. He was the quickest player in Major League Baseball history to hit 11 homers. He did so in 23 games. He's also the first rookie in MLB history to win consecutive Player of the Week awards, which he's done in the past 2 weeks. It's phenomenal. Light in the world. I mean, nobody's ever done that in Major League Baseball history. So it says a lot, and it says a lot about the Yankees' future. And he's not the only member of that Yankees team that's a young pup. He's just the one that's doing the best right now. Aaron Judge came off to a hot first week and has cooled off since. I think that's indicative of who Aaron Judge will be. He'll be more of a home run or bust type of guy, but that home run could total 35, 40 homers in his future per season.
Very possible. The guy's amazing. I've seen him play at the Trenton Thunder. You know, the guy's pretty damn good.
Right.
You know, and sadly I didn't get to see any of those games this year. But so I don't have any insider on any more Double-A future prospects for the Yankees. But
and there's still there's not time because he's on the big squad now. But there's still time to check out some more Trenton Thunder games. But I'm not going to talk about Trenton Thunder because they egg me on advertising, so I'm not going to sell them at all. Yeah, absolutely. But you want to talk about home run or bust? Lately, it's been home run and base hits for another catcher and the designated hitter, Evan Gattis. Evan Gattis has been phenomenal. I mean, Wilson Ramos who you traded me in our baseball league, had been sputtering a little bit lately.
Just saw him as a free agent.
Yep. He did hit a homer the other day, so now I'm thinking,
did I screw up?
Yeah. Can I have them both? No, I can't have them both. I don't want to sacrifice my pitching for having 2 catchers. But, I mean, Evan Gattis, over the past 7 games, 7 days, 24.5 points, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, only 2 strikeouts, which is good to see from a guy that has been have a knack for striking out. He's got a double, 2 singles, so his batting average has been nice over the past 7 days, even going back the last 15, been pretty solid. He is a great guy to pick up right now if he's available for your stretch run. He's only owned in 57.7% of all fantasy leagues.
Yeah, another catcher, Russell Martin. He's been pretty hot lately too. He's got 51 points in his last 15 days. So, you got to get him while he's still hot. I mean, he hasn't been producing as much this season, but 64.8% owned. He's going up 9.5, in the last week. So, get him while you can. Another catcher if you're lacking in catcher position. You can't go wrong with Russell Martin, especially on an explosive Toronto team. So
yeah, man, that lineup's sick around him. Absolutely. Some other offensive guys that you could pick up right now: Brandon Moss, St. Louis Cardinals outfielder and first base eligible, up 11% in the past week and totaling 57.8%. He's only had 2 homers, 5 RBIs, 9 strikeouts over the past 7 days. He's going to strike out a little bit, but still good for 20 points in most leagues. He's a good hot commodity in the infield and outfield for that matter. A couple other guys that I have here. Melvin Upton Jr. talking about Toronto, another Toronto guy that you could pick up right now. He was hot on San Diego before the trade, and when he went to Toronto, he absolutely cooled off. Probably need to get
his things together.
Yeah, it's like I'm in another country now.
Yeah, going to a different league.
Right.
Right,
a different league, different country. Trying to figure out the American-Canadian dollar conversion. It can be a lot to think about.
Yeah, it is.
Right? But he's got it together now over the past 7 days, 24.5 points. Certainly, 3 doubles, a triple, a stolen base. And he's only owned in 37.4% of leagues, so he's a guy you can grab. Another rookie, and I know Brian Wilson from Agree to Disagree is huge on this kid, and he's showing up strong, really holding down a spot that, Uliski Gurriel was signed to take. They're thinking about putting Gurriel at first base now because it's hard to take Alex Bregman out of your lineup. Yeah, you got him on there?
I got him written down, too.
Hey, get what you got information-wise on him?
I was just recently 60 points in his last 15 games.
Right.
Or 15 days. 55.5% owned. He's shortstop and third base eligible. So, kid's been pretty damn hot lately. So, get him while you can.
Absolutely. 18.5 over the last week. So, he's continuing that. It's not like it was loaded in the front 7 of that 15. So, definitely a good commodity. On the pitching side, do you have any pitching ads?
I have one. I have Luis Perdomo. He San Diego pitcher, 7-7. He's only 5% owned, but he's won his last 2 starts. He's got 54.3% or 53.3 points in his last 2 starts. So he's a guy going up against the Dodgers next game, but the Dodgers have kind of been slowing down a little bit. I mean, they lost to the Rockies 8-1 last night, so
Right.
I don't know. To me, it's worth the chance. I'm keeping him on my roster. So
Yeah, no, good. That's a great call. It was one of the guys I had on my list as well. Great minds think alike,
Yeah, exactly.
Mikey. I'm also going to advocate Daniel Norris. Since he's come back from injury, he's been a little up and down, but more up than down. Had 23.3 points in his last game at Minnesota. Gets the win. Granted, that's at Minnesota, but again this week he's battling Chicago White Sox, who have been slumping, and then he also faces the same team on September 5th. He's not a 2-start week, but he will slot in on today and Monday. He's a guy you can pick up right now. He is owned in only 10% of leagues, so he's a nice sneaky pitching ad. Tyler Sags, Los Angeles Angels, he's owned in 13.4% of leagues, coming off a strong start at Detroit, no less, where he got the win, 6 Ks and 2 hits only allowed, no runs. He's facing off against Seattle September 2nd, who Seattle has been hot. And if you check out the MLB Power Rankings on our blog site, which will be coming up, you'll see that they're finally made the upper tank. And I was very surprised to see that. You don't hear much about the Mariners.
Yeah.
Very sneaky. But I think I would still start him in that position. He's definitely a good ad. And you got to start thinking September call-ups now, too. And 2 guys that I can rattle off right off the top of my head. Your boy, Tyler Glasnow. He's healthy now. He's off the minor league disabled list. He is residing in AAA, but I think you think he's called up with
Garrett Cole just went on a DL, so he might be coming up.
Definite now.
Yeah.
Absolutely definite. A guy that was supposed to be called up to go against the tough Chicago Cubs team for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and their pitching injury help with their pitching was as Scott Kazmir went on the DL. Jose De Leon. A lot of people don't know about him because all they hear is Urias. I think De Leon's better. I think he's got great right-handed stuff. He's coming off of complete game, 10K performance. He's a guy that I'm mad as hell they haven't called up yet, and he's only pitched roughly about 75 innings this year.
Really?
So, I mean, talk about a guy fresh arm, not worried, a young arm that's not worried about pitching innings limits. That's a hot commodity.
Yeah.
As a lot of guys that might have got you there, Michael Fulmer has gotten me to where I'm at. He may be facing, innings limit. The list goes on and on, really, that could be facing that. So De Leon could be a great ad.
Yeah, how about Carlos Martinez last night?
Yeah.
13 strikeouts in 6 innings. They pulled him after 98 pitches. So it had nothing to do with, the 2 earned runs, or I think he had 3 walks. But, I mean, great performance by him last night. People with daily fantasy play, if you had him, I mean, you didn't get the win, but the 13 strikeouts is a lot. A lot of points there.
No, absolutely. A couple other names I want to rattle off there. We covered him. Yohan Moncada, going back to the offense a little bit. Second base, if he's eligible in your 12-team mixed league, you could add him right away. There's no doubt about that. He'll be on the 40-man roster come September. Matt Boyd, I think, is a great ad. Also, for reliever-wise, Enrique Burgess, with an 11.57 ERA and 2.57 whip across 9 1/3 innings since July 3rd, Jake Barrett opened the door for manager Chip Hale to notice Burgess' swing and miss arsenal. He has a lifetime 11.1 K per 9-inning rate. I think he could be a possible guy that they turn towards, who could, sneak some saves, but certainly holds if that's a counting category in your league as well. Mm-hmm. So a lot of hot names right there that really could help you out, especially if you have a lot of injured players out there that are, on their way back or hitting the shelf. So You heard it here first. That's our ad recommendations. Yeah. I do want to cap off our baseball segment by giving a little homage to Albert Pujols. Maybe I could have saved this for a king, but I think we already have a king designated for that in our Kings, Jack, and Joker segment, which is coming on the other side. But Albert Pujols, his homer last night moves him to 9th on the all-time home run list with 586. He just keeps on creeping up that list over the course of the season. But more notably, he's driven in over 100 runs this season, which gives him 13 seasons of 100-plus RBIs. That joins the company of Alex Rodriguez, who's had 14, but forgetting A-Royd. The other 3, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Jimmy Fox.
First ballot Hall of Famer.
No doubt about it.
If he isn't, then I don't know what the hell is.
I hear you. Absolutely hear you. You know what we're going to be seeing? A lot of Hall of Fame golfers at our Real Talk Invitational come November 5th at the Valley Brook Country Club. Check out the tournament event on Facebook and order tickets right through Facebook at a2dradio.com. It's going to be taking place in Blackwood, New Jersey, located 200 Gulfview Drive, Blackwood, New Jersey, 856-227-3171 to get information and directions. It's $125. All you can eat, all you can drink. Great golfing, celebs, meet all the people here at a2dradio.com. You're not going to want to miss it. Maybe we'll throw a Mets hat on Mikey and see if he looks like Noah Syndergaard. Oh, look at those eyes flashing those. Oh, man, we're getting giddy here as we move to the tail end of fantasy dominance now. On the other side, like I said, we're going into little kings, little jacks, little jokers, and we're going to give you the poll results for who is the top defense to draft or own in fantasy football. You're listening to Fantasy Dominance now here on a2dradio.com.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by The Sports Outlet, located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey, with over 40 years of customer experience giving the latest in uniforms and equipment to sports enthusiasts of baseball, softball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, and much more. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or send them an email at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit their website at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all of your sporting needs.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
Hey, do you consider yourself the next Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, or Jordan Spieth? Well, head on out on November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey for A2DRadio.com's first ever Real Talk Invitational. $125 per person to enter, teams up to 4 members, and it includes all you can eat and drink and contests including longest drive, putting competition, closest to the pin, and the hole-in-one contest. Once again, it's November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey. The guys here at A2DRadio.com hope to see you there.
You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now, only on a2dradio.com.
Welcome back, all my fantasy football players, to Fantasy Dominance Now here on A2DRadio.com. Mike Kleinkoff, Matt Tensuti on the ones and twos, and Rob Povia giving you all the dominance that it'll take to not only draft well, own a strong Week 1 team in fantasy football, but also drive you to fantasy baseball glory. We cover everything fantasy. We're not just fantasy football. We're not just fantasy baseball. We'll cover fantasy basketball, fantasy hockey. Come the wintertime, this is a great show. Come be a part of the dominance. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search A2DRadio.com. If you got fantasy questions, tweet us with the hashtag AskFDN. I'm at RobbieBLTZ. Mike, you are?
Mike_Kleinkoff.
Absolutely. And speaking of Twitter, we asked you on our station page at A2DRadio_com which NFL team defense is #1 in fantasy football. And man, a lot of people come out and vote. Thank you ever so much for coming and vote for this. It was a very close contest, man. But with 34% of the vote, the Denver Broncos take the cake. And I believe that's who you selected as well.
Actually, well, yeah, overall for fantasy defense, but I did pick the other just because of Kansas City.
Right.
So I wanted to, spice it up a little bit.
So for fantasy, it's Denver.
Yeah.
Overall, it's the Chiefs. Got it. Absolutely. And when we're speaking fantasy football here, we got in second place, not the Carolina Panthers, the Arizona Cardinals getting love. We have intelligent fans here at A2DRadio.com because, as we covered, the loss of Josh Norman will hurt the Panthers a little bit, but they're still going to be a top defense to own. If you own any three of these, you're set. They came in with 23% of the vote. 15% other, guaranteed those other. I haven't seen any comments listed. Let me just make sure there was no replies to the tweet, but you got to think that's a lot of Seattle fans out there. They're just like automatically, okay, time to pick a team defense. Seattle Seahawks, call it a day. But I think Denver, Carolina, or Arizona could outscore them this year. I agree with you, though. I do have them as my #1, but my #1 for who I own, Arizona Cardinals, no doubt about it. So, again, thank you for voting on our Twitter poll, which was sponsored by the BMW of Atlantic City dealership. They challenge its sales team. They must sell 100 vehicles, which means you save. Right now, lease a certified pre-owned elite 2016 BMW 320i with xDrive, just $299 a month for 36 months. The ultimate driving experience is closer than you think. BMW of Atlantic City, easy to get to. Minutes off of exit 37 on the Garden State Parkway, or check them out online at bmwatlanticcity.com. So, Mikey, this brings us to our final segment of the day, and that is Kings, Jacks, and Jokers. We had Brian selected for nominating our King this week. Just got confirmation he will not be able to make the show. Definitely good luck to you, Brian. Let me know if you need any support if you're listening to the show. Hit me up after the show. So, for King, how about this? We mentioned Gary Sanchez. We mentioned Albert Pujols. Who's our King this week out of those two?
Wow. I think you have to go with the original King with Albert Pujols.
Yeah. And it's funny too because we were thinking automatically giving it to the new Sanchez, Gary Sanchez, but those
happened last night.
Yeah,
man.
We
talked the day before. So
right, absolutely, great point, man.
Yeah.
I think Albert Pujols absolutely has to be our King. And if you're just joining us, well, first of all, you can always rewind and go back to the beginning of the show, or listen to us live and then catch the beginning of the show on the replay. But he homered last night to move him to 9th place on the all-time list with 586 homers, and he's also driven in over 100 runs this season, giving him 13 seasons of 100-plus RBIs, which joins A-Rod with 14, the Babe, Garrick, and Fox. Great company. And you said, Mikey, instant
Hall of Famer.
No doubt about it.
First ballot.
No doubt about it. So that's our King this week. You were in charge of coming up with our Jack.
Yeah.
Who is he?
You know what? I think I'm going to still stay with the clown himself, the guy that's going to end up probably getting cut from the team, and that's Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, man.
It's just it is a hot topic, and, I don't want to get too deep into it because I think it's been talked about enough already, but just stand. And that's the same thing Victor Cruz said. Just stand.
Right. Right.
And it's to me, I know where he's coming from a African-American background, but people have fought for that flag, and that's the way I take it. Obviously, like I said in the beginning of our show, my uncle fought in Vietnam. He fought for that flag.
Yeah.
So I take pride in that flag.
Right.
So.
Right. And that's a great point, man. I mean, the Star Spangled Banner, if you actually pay attention to the words, represents the Revolutionary War and those that fight and die for the honor of our country. And you get paid millions of dollars to throw a ball around a field, and you're not going to respect all of those people, which is why I dropped the F-bomb in the beginning of the show, because I'm livid about this. I'm trying to stay out of the racial aspect of it, but you know what? I'm not going to. I'm going to say it, man. You're really oppressed. Colin Kaepernick, you're oppressed. You were adopted by 2 white parents when your black parents did not want you.
Yeah.
Right? Or, I believe it actually mix background.
Well, I think he is half white or something like that.
Right. So I think this is a conflict inside my head. I think the most confused individual is Colin Kaepernick. He's been in the league for quite a while now.
He went 6 years.
Yeah.
He went
and
to
now
school
all of a sudden
That's exactly what this girl said. There's a girl, Tommy Lauren. I love watching her.
Yeah.
She said, 6-year career, and now you decide to step up. She goes, just keep sitting on that bench because you suck. I love her.
Yeah, she is. I mean, she's one of those firm Republicans, so that turns me a little bit away from her. But then I see how hot she is, and I go right back. I mean, I've never seen somebody fired up, talking like Bill O'Reilly, but yet looking like a Playboy playmate.
Yeah, I just
Where's her
I
nude pictures? I want them.
I love watching her, and she said it to a T.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the guy brought them to a Super Bowl, but other than that, recently he's been horrible. He's been absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
And to me, it's just like I said, going back to it. The guy went to school for free because he was a good football player.
Right.
The guy got paid $20 million last year, and he played 2-3 games last year.
Right.
He's making $19 million this year.
But he's oppressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But where the hell was I going? Oh, if you didn't live in America, tell me what you would be doing in another country.
Yeah.
Because I understand there is racial inequality in this country, and I do see it, but nobody in other countries, you don't get that freedom.
Right.
And that's where I argue it, because in other countries, people are killed because they say something.
Yeah. Right.
They get killed because they believe in something. Here, you have that freedom of speech. I know a lot of people do take that to heart.
Right.
But if he was in another country, he could have had his head blown off already.
And Mike, that's the hypocrisy of it. He's putting down the flag that gives him the freedom of speech.
That allows him to say that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, I get it. You're entitled to believe what you want to believe, right? But getting back to our original point here, the Star Spangled Banner and honoring those that have fallen. What about Pat Tillman?
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Legend in the
Steelers offensive lineman Alejandro Villanueva. He did 3 tours in Afghanistan.
Right.
You don't think that hits home for him?
Right. I mean, man, if the Niners don't cut him and he's out it's going to give defenders a little extra to want to just kill this man. I mean, he brought a world of hurt on himself. Talk about putting your foot in your mouth. But, if you don't like it, and I believe this comes from the same video because I did watch the same video by Tommy, then leave.
Yeah.
Go to a country where you're not going to be free to say what you want, and you'll probably be washing cars because that's the only thing you're good at, Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
I just, I don't know.
It pushes buttons for me.
Yeah. No, big time, man. Big time. I mean, you don't have to believe it. You can believe whatever you want to believe, and you can say that there's a lot of oppression in this.
Oh, yeah.
And there is.
There is.
I get you. I get it, right? But stand up there in the Star Spangled Banner and keep your fucking mouth shut. Really. I mean, man, forget about Kaepernick.
I know. It just pisses me off, and I could do a whole show talking about it, but we're going to keep it to the 4.5 minutes that we got here. So.
All right, so let's move on to our Joker category, and this is particularly where we pick a funny practical joke or a dumbass. Well, the gentleman I picked for this, he's certainly not a dumbass, but one of the best comedic actors of our generation, and a certain Joker because he loved putting smiles on people's faces, and that's the late great Gene Wilder. Certainly rest in peace, my friend. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's 3 years ago when he was 80, and they didn't release it. And the reason why the family said in a statement they didn't release it is he was in the business of putting smiles on people's faces, and he didn't want people to feel sad for him or just to feel sad in general. So he kept it private. He kept it close to the vest. And, you know, in case you haven't heard, you know, Gene Wilder, star of Willy Wonka, dead at 83 from complications with Alzheimer's. Oh, man, you know, I think of Gene Wilder. Some of my fondest movie memories, biggest chuckles come from that man. I mean, you can talk about Blazing Saddles, certainly a big one. Certainly all the movies he did with Richard Pryor. One of my favorite ones was See No Evil, Hear No Evil. You ever see that one?
No.
Where he played a deaf guy and Richard Pryor played a blind guy.
Oh, you know what? I've heard of it. My dad talks about it. My dad loves Gene Wilder.
Yeah. I mean, classic. I mean, obviously we mentioned, you know, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. When you think of Willy Wonka,
you think of him.
You have to think of Gene Wilder.
Screw Charlie.
Right. What about Young Frankenstein?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's absolutely no doubt about it. So definitely rest in peace, my friend. Your job is to make God laugh now, and we'll all join you one day. So on that note, we're going to bid you adieu here on Fantasy Dominance Now here at a2dradio.com. You're going to want to stay tuned. Quick turnover in a half an hour, 2 p.m., Hockey Happy Hour. Myself and Matt Sensuti bringing you all the knowledge for the World Cup of Hockey coming up. But for Mike Kleinkoff, Rob Povia, happy drafting if you haven't drafted in fantasy football. And if you had, good luck in week 1. We'll be back next week to help you.
Yeah.
Peace.